सावधूतं परिजन श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् श्री विशाखाभितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपीकांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरंगे राधा वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणनामि हरिप्रिये वांशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुव एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा माता जी। Sorry, actually I was rushing around at the last moment at my work. There was some kind of an incident and I have to dial in exactly at around 5:30 or something, and I just kind of sneaking it out from there.
It's okay.
So
you take your time a little bit, take a breath and then.
Mataji, thank you. So I think we were discussing three modes of material nature, and we were on 17th shloka.
Okay.
Mataji, can I put you on mute? I think I can hear some echo. So if
okay, I'll go to mute then.
Thank you, Mataji. Okay. So first we will read this shloka and try to understand these three modes of material nature. I think for quite a while, I think everyone has been discussing about three modes of material nature. But today, we would try to understand what exactly this three modes of material nature is. And this is one of those chapters, right, which personally I like it at most. The reason for being right, it is kind of a small chapter. The second, you can definitely relate this chapter with yourself in day-to-day your life, right? When you talk about mode of goodness or mode of passion or mode of ignorance, you can definitely relate this chapter with your day-to-day activities. So once we read through the shloka, we will just go into the retrospection, what Krishna promises at the start of the chapter, and what Krishna gives when you transcend the three modes of material nature, what he is rewarding you towards the end of this chapter. And in the second shloka also he does mention one who read this chapter, right, or who fixes his knowledge on this transcendental knowledge, he transcends the three modes of material nature, right? So I think we can bring it out for 14th chapter, 17th shloka, and then we'll go through that. Okay, not the 14th, 17th one. Share screen. Okay. Prabhuji's, Mataji's, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Let's read this. Bhagavad Gita 14.17. Satvat sanjayate jnanam
Satvat
संजायते ज्ञानम्
rajaso lobha evacha
Jnanam rajase loho eva cha
pramad moho tamasa
प्रमादामोहतमसा
bhavato ajnanam evacha
bhavato jnanam eva cha
satvat sanjayate jnanam
satat sanjayate jnanam
rajaso lobha evacha
rajase lova eva cha
pramad moho tamaso
pramat moho tamaso
bhavato ajnanam evacha
bhavato ajnanam eva cha
सत्वात् संजायते ज्ञानं
सत्त्वात् संजायते ज्ञानं
रजसो लोभो एव च
रजसो लोभो एव च
प्रमदा मोहो तमसो
प्रमादा मोहो तमसो
भवतो अज्ञानम् एव च
भवतो अज्ञानमेव च।
Someone would like to recite?
Yeah.
Please go ahead, Mataji.
सत्यात् संजायते ज्ञानं
सत्वात् संजायते ज्ञानं
ज्ञानं
राजसो लोभो एव च
रजसो लोभ एव च
प्रमादा मोहौ तामसो
प्रमदा मोहो तमसो
भवतो अज्ञानमेव च
भवतो अज्ञानम् एव च
संजायते ज्ञानं
सत्वात् संजायते ज्ञानं
ज्ञानं
तो लोभ एव च
रजसो लोभ एव च
प्रमादो मोहो तमसो
भवतो ज्ञानमेव च
भवतो अज्ञानमेव च
ज्ञानमेव च।
सत्वात् संजायते ज्ञानं
सत्वात् संजायते ज्ञानं
रजसो लोभ एव च
रजसो लोभ एव च
एव च
प्रमादा मोहो तमसो
प्रमादा मोहो तमसो
भवतो अज्ञानमेव च
भवतो अज्ञानमेव च।
सत्वात् संजायते ज्ञानं
सत्वात् संजायते
संजायते
ज्ञानं
ज्ञानं
रजसो लोभ एव च
रजसो
रजसो
लोभ एव च
प्रमादमोहो तमसो
प्रमादमोहो तमसो
भवतो ज्ञानमेव च
भवतो अज्ञानमेव च. Okay, anyone else? Okay, so let's go word to word meaning. Satvat,
Satvat,
from the mode of goodness.
from the mode of goodness.
Sanjayate,
Sanjayate,
develops.
develop.
Jnanam,
Jnanam,
knowledge.
knowledge.
Rajasa,
Rajasa,
from the mode of passion.
from the mode of passion.
Lobha,
Lobha,
greed.
greed.
Eva,
Eva,
certainly.
certainly.
Cha,
Cha,
also.
also.
Pramada,
Pramada,
madness.
madness.
Moha,
Moha,
and illusion.
and illusion.
Tamasa,
Tamasa,
from the mode of ignorance.
from the mode of ignorance.
Bhavata,
Bhavata,
develop.
develop.
Ajnanam,
Ajnanam,
nonsense.
nonsense.
Eva,
Eva,
certainly.
certainly.
Cha,
Cha,
also.
also.
Translation and Parvat by Srila Prabhupada. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops. And from the mode of ignorance, foolishness, madness, and illusion. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Since the present civilization is not very congenial to the living entities, Krishna consciousness is recommended. Through Krishna consciousness, society will develop the mode of goodness. When the mode of goodness is developed, people will see things as they are. In the mode of ignorance, people are just like animals and cannot see things clearly. In the mode of ignorance, for example, they do not see that by killing one animal, they are taking the chance of being killed by that same animal in the next life. Because people have no education in actual knowledge, they become irresponsible. To stop this irresponsibility, education for developing the mode of goodness of the people in general must be there. When they are actually educated in the mode of goodness, they will become sober. in full knowledge of things as they are, the people will be happy and prosperous. Even if the majority of the people aren't happy and prosperous, if a certain percentage of the population develops Krishna consciousness and becomes situated in the mode of goodness, then there is possibility for peace and prosperity all over the world. Otherwise, if the world is devoted to the mode of passion and ignorance, there can be no peace and prosperity. In the mode of passion, people become greedy, and their hankering for sense enjoyment has no limit. One can see that even if one has enough money and adequate arrangements for sense gratification, there is neither happiness nor peace of mind. That is not possible because one is situated in the mode of passion. If one wants happiness at all, his money will not help him. He has to elevate himself to the mode of goodness by practicing Krishna consciousness. When one is engaged in the mode of passion, not only he is mentally unhappy, but his profession and occupation are also very troublesome. He has to devise so many plans and schemes to acquire enough money to maintain his status quo. This is all miserable. In the mode of ignorance, people become mad, being distressed by the circumstance. They take shelter of intoxication, and thus they sink further into ignorance. The future in life is very dark. Let's see what Srila Prabhupada speaks in translation. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops, and from the mode of passion, greed develops, and from the mode of ignorance, develop foolishness, madness, and illusion. So if you look at the start of this chapter, which is three modes of material nature, right? Just before that, we had nature and the consciousness, and there Lord Krishna tells about what is real knowledge. And if you carefully read this purport, he tells that because people have no education in actual knowledge, they become irresponsible. So what Srila Prabhupada is talking about here is, right, we are not really getting the real education. So in previous chapter, right, if you would have seen what is real knowledge, the difference between the matter and the spirit, right, that is kind of said as the real knowledge in the Vedic terms. So the difference between what is living being, what is matter, and the matter is separate and the living beings are separate, and they come from two different things. Means they are coming from Lord itself, but they are not just kind of an evolution theory, right? So that is one thing for what we want to understand. Building that concept, right, when you start this chapter, I think if you go to the first shloka itself in this chapter, what does the Lord says? I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained this supreme perfection, right? So Krishna at the start of this chapter itself is just talking it about, right? If you understand this knowledge perfectly, right, as it is, then definitely you are going, the great sages have gone back, and you also in the next shloka itself, he's telling that you will attain the transcendence, you will attain the nature like him, right? And then once you attain the nature like him, then you can go beyond these three modes of material nature, right? So sometimes we just keep talking about that there's a mode of goodness, passion, and illusion, right? Ignorance, passion, and goodness. But in terms of the reality, right, we fail to understand. If you talk about the 13th chapter, right, it is kind of a more of a theory, what it does talk about. But 14th chapter, Lord Krishna gives you, do this practical, right? This is very, very practical in your way, in your day-to-day life, right? Means once we go through kind of a small PPT, what I kind of prepared for this end-to-end of this chapter, and at the end, right, we can evaluate ourselves. Where do we stand? Means are we in the mode of goodness? Are we in the mode of passion? Or are we in the mode of ignorance, right? So that kind of a small exercise, because every day we are investing small amount of time out of the 24 hours, right? 1 hour we are coming here listening, but what exactly means, are we changing? Is it bringing an impact to our life, or are we still be the same? Because we can read a lot of theory, but when the practical comes, right, that's where we kind of fail in our life, right? So I think it is very, very important, right? At some point of a time, every individual does an introspection of themselves, right? What exactly are they really progressing in bhakti? Are they doing the things right? Are they doing what Srila Prabhupada has said, right? So we are going to talk about those things and see what is this. If you see in this purport, right, there are three things which are being talked about, and in the PPT we are going to talk about those things: the mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. How the people in the mode of goodness, right, they work. In the mode of passion, people are just working day and night. They are always busy, right? They don't have time, even though they have sufficient money, but they think that they still missing something, right? According to a survey, right, in US, which was done, if you earn kind of around 78k thousand, right, in an year per annum, right, it's kind of a sufficient to maintain your livelihood. But if you earn more than that, but that doesn't mean that your happiness can be measured based on the extra money what you are earning. So if you would have seen kind of there was a kind of a great, very famous, I think, film artist, right, in San Francisco. He kind of hanged himself. So sometimes we think that money can bring a lot of things, but only money is necessary, right? We are not condemning that money is not necessary. You need to maintain yourself. You need money to take care of basic necessities. But after a certain point, right, money doesn't kind of bring that happiness. You cannot buy all the things. So there is something beyond, right? Sometimes the people are just mad beyond money. So that is the people kind of in the mode of passion. And there is one more category of the people, right? They don't care about anything, neither the money, neither themselves. They think that life is just kind of keep going as it comes and you accept it, right? They just they don't differentiate between what they are eating. They can eat anything, and they tell that anything is eatable, right? So they sleep like anything, and they don't even work. Sometimes if they work, the work comes, right? They just don't care for anything. Like sometimes those people are kind of if you see, they kind of in the mode of ignorance, right? So I think with in the interest of the time, right, I will directly jump to the PPT, and we'll see or how much we can cover. Okay, so just give me a minute. Let me share. Okay. Okay, this is okay. So this PPT is right. If you would have seen the last chapter, right, there were two terms which were called Gayam and Gyanagamyam, right? So the Gayam, if anyone remembers, right, would like to say what is Gayam, right? The Gayam was object of knowledge, right? And the Gyanagamyam was the goal of knowledge. So sometimes we fail to understand what exactly is the difference, because the difference is so subtle, right? We may not able to understand. But if you look, right, for a devotee, for a bhakta, both are kind of the same. So Gayam, to understand the object of knowledge, is Krishna, and the goal of knowledge is also Krishna, right? But if we have to understand from a materialistic point of view, when a student is kind of doing engineering, right, what is his object of knowledge? He just want to get a degree, right? He wants to excel into, if he's doing a mechanical engineering or a computer science, right, he just want to finish. He wants to understand that subject, pass the exam and just finish it. But does he really care about that he has to kind of excel in that field, continue pursue some studies? Not many. There can be certain students, there may be a certain small percentage of student which may want to pursue in that. But if you look, right, this student here, right, what he's thinking behind, he's thinking that how much money I'm going to earn, what I'm going to buy, where I'm going to stay. All those thoughts are kind of coming, and this is kind of sometimes in our real life also, right? But for a bhakta, for a devotee, Gayam and Jnana Gamyam, right? The object of knowledge, the goal of knowledge, both are same. But for our material knowledge, that knowledge is a contaminated, right? It's kind of a our object of knowledge and then goal of knowledge are kind of a two different things. So this was kind of a theory if you take it from the previous chapter. Now if we kind of a jump into the experiment of this thing, right? If we have understood the philosophy, then if we have to do the practical of that, what exactly does it mean, right? Now we are not kind of a very far from this contaminated knowledge. So this contaminated knowledge, right, what does it do, right? It binds us to this material world under the influence of three modes of material nature, right? Now we have been already talking it about what are these three modes, right? If I quickly go right, the three modes are like mode of passion, mode of ignorance, and mode of goodness, right? And we have kind of a quite a bit spoke about what each of the characteristics looks like when the people are in each of the modes. How do they act? What are their characteristics? What do they eat? How much do they sleep? Right? And if you take 14th chapter and 18th chapter, right, those are so much practical, right? You would be able to relate itself. Where do you stand? So we are going to do one comparison, and we are going to hear one kind of a very short story that would always remember and help us to differentiate what these three modes are there. But even before that, right, let's do one kind of a quick exercise, because when I kind of read this thing, right, this knowledge, whatever we read is kind of a contaminated. And my daughter Tulsi, she was looking into this world map, and I thought, miss, if this knowledge is kind of a contaminated, whatever we are doing, right, how can we draw inferences? How can we connect? So I was just thinking about this, and if a person looks into this world map, right, what do you think he would think about this, right? And based on your thinking, right, you can keep your answers with you and see if one more time, right, if we look into this world map, and I think on our call, all the people are devotee because they are finding some or the other time for Krishna. But if we have to float this map to a very large audience, right, they're kind of a different identity which they are going to figure it out in this map. They are not going to come with the same conclusion, and you would think that their thinking is kind of a totally different, right? And based on their thinking and based on their activity, right, based on their bringing, based on their surrounding, how they are acting, how they are reacting, right, everything is kind of determined by the three modes of material nature. Sometimes we think that I am the doer, प्रकृति क्रिया मानानि गुना कर्माणि सर्वश अहंकार विभुड आत्मा कर्ता हम इति मन्यते, right? So the spirit soul, bewildered by the false ego, sometimes think that he is the doer, right? But he is not the doer. He is the three modes are actually the ultimate doer, what they are trying to do. And in Karma Yoga, in the third chapter, if you go, right, it's kind of beautifully explained how from lust anger comes, and when the anger is kind of a when your lust is kind of a fulfilled, it turns into greed, and when your lust, when it is not fulfilled, it turns into anger, and which is the all devouring sin of this world, right? So not going into the technicality of that, but based on what we think, if you think into this map, right, we can broadly categorize into three categories. So some people, right, who would be in the mode of ignorance, so they would think where we can go to do the party, where are the casinos, where is the Las Vegas, where is Macau, where are the places we can go for roaming, and what they are going to go there. They are going to eat, right, they are going to sleep, they are going to enjoy, they are going to have sensual activity, nothing more beyond that, right? This is what they are primarily going to think, right? So if the people are just thinking in only in these terms, right, you can come to categorize, right, just seeing the map itself, right, what they are thinking about, what category they come into, right? So this is some of the things what they would think into it. But if you think mode of passion, right, if I show this, if I am talking to some business tycoon or someone, he would think, oh, okay, so where would I kind of establish my business? This is kind of a pandemic situation going on, so where can I set up one more factory? How can I build up on my revenue? So how can I increase my per share income, right? This is what he's just going to think. So he's just in the mode of passion, just one factory after another factory, and this is two factory, three factory. This just want to expand himself, and he's kind of never satisfied. So how much of the money that person does have, he's just thinking how much more he can get. And you could see, right, every day, if you would read the news, the billionaires are kind of a changing, right? Every 5 years before there was someone else, today there is someone else. And these people, their ambitions are kind of a changing. Now they think that we have kind of a sufficiently polluted the earth. Now let's go to some other planet and establish the same thing what we have been doing it over here, right? And you would see that all the top billionaires, right, all the business tycoons of the world, right, they have been kind of fighting for the space exploration, where they want to send the humans into the space, and they just want to do the same thing, right? Nothing different: eating, meeting, sleeping, and defending. So basically they have been into the two modes: ignorance, and the second is the passion. Third kind of a people come, this people, right, the researchers, philosophers, someone may look again into this map and see where exactly there kind of a lot of diseases. If their pandemic is there, we have to invent a vaccine. Or if they are just really without considering for the name and fame, which is very hard to do, right? And if they really want to distribute that vaccine without that, right, it's kind of a mode of a goodness. And if they are looking what places we can do, which is the kind of a best place to go, what people are kind of a most impacted, considering all that thing, right? But it is kind of very difficult to do. The problem with the people in the mode of goodness is, right, they think that we are good, we are happy, right? And I think many of you might have experienced, right, when we have gone for book distribution, right? If you knock at someone's door and you ask them, would you like to take some books, and they would tell, no, we are good, we have a lot of books, we have books in India, we have brought books from India, right? Nobody is reading. And right, you would tell, the problem with the people with the mode of goodness, right, they think that this is their life, they are happy, they have good children, they are getting good salary, they have good home. And once you are in the mode of goodness, you are enjoying everything, and you don't want to transcend this mode, beyond this mode, what happens? There are more chances that you can fall into the below modes, right? As we have heard before, the mode of ignorance and the mode of passion and mode of goodness, all of them are fighting, right? Like a gravity, when apple is there on the tree, the gravity acts to make it fall down. Similarly, these modes are fighting among themselves. So if you are in the mode of goodness, there are absolute complete chances that you can fall in the mode of passion, right? So someone becomes really, really rich, right? And he stops taking care what is right, what is wrong, right? And he starts acting whimsically, right? So definitely he can fall into the mode of passion, and from there he can fall into the mode of ignorance. So it is very, very essential, when you are into the mode of goodness, try to ascend from there to the Shuddha Sattva platform, or the transcendental. And what exactly is this transcendental, right? What exactly? So we have been talking about transcendental, and these are the same questions, right? Arjuna asked to Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna answers them in shloka number 22 to 25, and 26 he gives a punch, means because the definition what you are going to see in 22 to 25, after seeing the definition you would think, oh, I cannot make to that Shuddha Sattva platform. But in 26th shloka, right, he gives, it's kind of a really, really very easy. So I think we are going to touch upon that also, if the time permits, how we can ascend these three modes of material nature, right? So having the understanding of all these three things, right, at a higher level, let's move further. Beyond these three modes, right, there is something called the mode of transcendental, right? And as we spoke about, right, these two, whatever the three modes are there, right, they are fighting among each other. They are trying to just pull you down. So if you are in ignorance, right, you will still further go down. Some people, they don't differentiate, as we spoke about the food or the sleeping habit, right? They just remain to stay dirty. They don't want to wash their clothes. They just want to keep their room very untidy. See, the bhakta or devotee is not like that. So sometimes we think that it is kind of a okay, but it's not kind of a okay. Prabhupada also said that cleanliness is not next to the godliness. Prabhupada never wanted devotees to be kind of a full hair and not shaved. He always kind of he first you do achar and then do you prachar. And if you see Srila Prabhupada, right, always he was clean shaved. He had kind of a nicely dressed thing, and he always wear watch. So he was like a perfect gentleman. And if you see all his disciples also, right, Srila Prabhupada's, they are always kind of a tip top. They are not like that, because he always wanted, when you are going for a preaching, right, you should be always kind of a clean and tidy. It should be in a presentable state. When you are in a presentable state, right, then people are kind of going to listen. And if you see Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he never liked any of his disciples to be fat, but because of some other medical condition or something, that is kind of a thing. But he always wanted his disciples to be very active. We have to be really careful what how we are acting, and because the way we act, right, because we are representing ISKCON, we are representing Srila Prabhupada, his books, right, and when we show what we are talking it about, what we are representing, right, that's kind of a first impression that goes to the people, right? So always we have to be kind of a really careful how we present ourselves. So let's do a kind of a quick comparison, right, with respect to this material world and the prison in this material world, right? So if you see this material world and prison, right, our prison is also within the material world, but if you see this material world, whatever we call, they are kind of a exactly the same, right? We call the material world as a Durgalaya also. So Durg is like a fort, and Alaya is a place. So Durg Alaya, right? So the Durga Devi, right? So she is taking her trident and she is holding the people within this material world. So which is like a Durgalaya, and which is same like a prison. In the prison, whom do you keep? You keep the prisoners. So if you look in the comparison, right, there are four things which are kind of a common to the people who are in the prison or who are in this material world. First is your cloth, second is the chain, third is the punishment, and fourth is the purification process. So the first thing, when a prisoner comes into the prison, what happens, right? You change his cloth. You come into your own dress, but you are asked to change your cloth, right? So they give you a dress, whatever is kind of a decided for that jail. So you will be taken your clothes and you are given a new cloth. So similarly, right, if you come in this chapter, in the third shloka, Krishna, what does it tell, right? All this material world, let's take what is he exactly there. The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and is that Brahman I impregnate, making possible the birth of all living beings. And in the next shloka, he tells that I am the seed giving father, right? So as soon as we come, the living entity, right, comes from Mahavishnu based on the desire and the karma, what they have performed, right? They get a dress. And Padma Puran also tells that there are 8.4 million species. So you can get any species. There are kind of a 10 lakh species in water, 20 lakh species which are in the form of the tree. So you can get anything, and there are 400,000 form of human species. So based on how you act, so this human species is very rare. So this is kind of a dress. So that is the first thing. And based on in this dress, right, the jiva is put inside. So as in the prison, the person comes inside this dress. Similarly, the jiva is put inside this dress, and this dress can be of a chimpanzee, or can be of a bird, of a bear, of a lion, of a reptile, or of a human, right? And human is kind of the most evolved. But when you get this human form, right, don't let it waste. So make utilization of this thing, because you never know when you are going to get this, whatever the austerity you have performed, how much short you have fallen from that. So considering that seriousness, right, make utilization of that very small every time what we can spent, right? So that is the first comparison. The second comparison, let's see how we are doing with the time. 7:35. Okay, second thing is the chain. So the prisoner is there. What do you do? The police, right? He put the handcuff in his hands. He ties his hands with the chain, right? Similarly, now here, what does it do? As soon as we come into this material world, three modes of material nature start acting. The mode of ignorance, mode of passion, and mode of goodness. So based on these three modes, you get a body, and based on that body, the jiva is put inside that body. And once the jiva is put inside that body, right, he is forced to act how that body is acting. So suppose if he gets a body of a bear, so he will sleep and he will eat, and he will eat like anything. He can hibernate for 6 months. 6 months he can eat, but he is forced to act based on that body. But only in the human form of life, right, you have that ability, what you can think about why you have come into this human form of body. You have the distinction, you have the choice to take between your birth and the death. Between B and D, right, comes the C. So you have that choice what you can take care of that, right? But this trident, right, the trident of the Durga Devi, those are these three ropes. Those are those tridents which are binding you into this material world. And if you see, right, the Maya Devi is under the influence of Lord Krishna. So if you surrender to Lord Krishna, right, and who are the people who can go out of the jail? The people who have shown to the jailer that they are right. They have repented themselves. They are not kind of thinking of doing any crime further in the future. Those are the people who are entitled to go out of the prison. Similarly, the people who come into this material world, right, who have kind of freed themselves from mind, ego, intelligence, and false ego, they are the only people who are kind of entitled to go back to the Godhead. So if we still have any kind of a raga, any kind of a dvesha, even a minuscule, they are kind of they are not like people. If you give some kind of exam and you would be able to pass with 99%, they know exactly. Even you have a kind of a subtle ego from outside, you are kind of showing you are good, but inside still you, anything if provokes you, and you are kind of in deep you are just going to punch back. So sometimes it is said, right, if you want to know the real nature of a person, right, wake them up in the midnight, right, and hit them hard in the midnight, and when they speak out, right, the real truth will come out. So sometimes the brahmachari have done that, and sometimes, right, what is real inside, right, that would come out. So that is kind of the chain, second part, right? So the first what we spoke about is the cloth, second is the chain, third is the punishment, right? So once you go into prison, right, the punishment is not over, right? Still these prisoners have to work a lot, and when we come into this material world, right, there are three things we have to go through: adhyatmik, adi bhautik, and adi devik. Adhyatmik is if you have problem with yourself, you may have fever, cold, or something, and adi bhautik is someone else is kind of hitting you. Means this person is just kind of hitting, I don't know they are playing or not, but looks like he's kind of really hitting the person. So if you get a pain because of some other person's right, so that if you see the corona also, the pandemic which is going, it's kind of a adi bhautik. So because of the other jiva, the other people are kind of suffering. And last is kind of a adi devik, because the earthquake, tsunami, and everything which is governed by the nature, prakriti is doing. So this is kind of within the material world you get the punishment, in the prison also you get the punishment. So you go through this punishment process, and the last is the purification. So in the purification part, right, if a person does kind of a good job within the prison, he is kind of mentoring other prisoners, he's kind of the total duration stay may get reduced, right? If he is kind of behaving nicely, he's doing whatever his jailer is asking, he's trying to do that, right? Based on those activities, based on his behavior, based on the symptoms he shows, he's kind of entitled to go early or to stay for the duration. But if he doesn't show any improvement, right, as soon as he comes out and again he tries to perform the same thing, again he's going to come back inside this thing. So ABCD is the purification for devotees, right? And if you see Nectar of Devotion, there are 64 limbs, right? In that there are 5 kind of important thing, and among those things, right, we are just trying to touch the 4 ABCD, and we are going to talk about later. So if now I think with this comparison, prison in the material world, right, if you take this comparison, right? Now, are you convinced that we are in a Durgalaya, we are in a prison, and we are kind of a being driven by the three modes, right? Either the, see, if you read here, right, means we are always shackled by the three modes, and it doesn't matter, right? Either you are in mode of goodness or passion or ignorance. The chain is either of a silver or it is a iron or a gold. It is still a chain, right? You are still bounded by that chain, and if you are within a chain, right, you are going to experience the pain. So it doesn't matter, either you are in goodness, but the thing is, when you are in the mode of goodness, right, the path become easy, you can transcendent. In the current 17th shloka, what we have been discussing, right, Srila Prabhupada writes, if there are few people who are in the mode of goodness, right, even those are kind of a sufficient in the current world today to educate the other people. When all the people are in the mode of ignorance, all the people are in mode of passion, right, how can there be a peace? Srila Prabhupada always said, right, if you have so many butcher houses, so you are trying to kill an animal here, you are trying to kill an animal there, and at the same time you are trying to create this peace society, you are trying to create G7, G13 and all that, right? It is not going to work. So the first thing, you have to stop this butcher houses. See, our law can be different. So if you go, the law, something what is in current country, right, United States, if you go to India, that law may be different. So for, if you go for a driving, the laws are kind of a very, very different. But in the eyes of the Lord, right, he treats equally. He treats kind of a dog, a cow, a human, right? He treats them equally. He doesn't differentiate between them. The only humans, they have the power, they differentiate between the animal, right? Because if you talk about, right, if a dog is kind of a very, very dear in United States, but similarly the cow is kind of a very dear in India. So people don't kill cow in India, but when you come in United States, there are a lot of butcher houses, and the cows get slaughtered, but at the same time the dogs doesn't get slaughtered. But when you go in Vietnam or in China, right, you see that there are a lot of slaughter which would happen on the dogs. So the humans are always in duality. So we have to overcome this duality. See, we create laws which are beneficial for us. We don't see with the equal eye with everyone. So let's go try to see the difference between the mode of goodness, passion and ignorance. So how much we are doing with the time check. Probably we may not be able to complete. We'll see till where we can complete, and then I think in another 5 minutes we can stop for the questions. So if you see in people in the mode of goodness, right, they are kind of a happy, and we did talk about, right, they are satisfied. And the problem with that, right, they think whatever they are doing in this life is kind of a sufficient. Their kids are happy, their kids are settled, they have sufficient money, their life is going smooth, but they don't consider, right, there is every chance that they can fall. The highest what they can go if they are kind of a pious and they are really acting as per the Shastra, right? And how many people in the current civilization do you think act as per the Shastra? They very, very few, right? Even less than 5%. Many 90% of the people, right, would come in the mode of passion and ignorance. As soon as the day comes, right, day starts, we want to log into the computer. Means it's kind of a busy. It's we have to do, because we kind of a bounded by these modes. We have to look for our survival. But everything in the mode of passion, it's kind of a creation. And if you call these peoples to the temple in the mode of passion and ignorance, right, Prabhu, we are busy, Mataji, we are busy, next time, and every time they have an excuse, right? They would never want to come, and every time some or the other excuse would come. So if you call them for book distribution, something or the other would be on priority, right? So we can definitely figure it out, right? We don't have to tell to someone else which mode do we belong to, right? But we can talk it about, we can evaluate ourselves if we really have to go. So if you think, right, we spoke about this, what is this three modes are going to keep you? They are going to still keep you in the prison. So you are not going to go out of the prison. So is it really good to be in the mode of goodness, passion and ignorance? Definitely it is good when compared to passion and ignorance. But is it really good to still remain in the prison? I don't think anyone everyone would like to remain in the prison, right? And if you go to the 18th chapter, right, it again the practical thing comes, right? The fresh food, vegetables, juicy fruit, fatty food, right, is all kind of a symbolism of a mode of goodness. A person, what kind of a food eat? Someone who eats very spicy food. Hare Krishna Mataji. Anything you want to say? Sorry. Okay, so any comments or realization? I think we can stop probably. If we don't want, we may not be able to complete this, or I can continue. Okay, so spicy food, pungent, sour, salty, very oily, right? Some of the I think symbolism, if in the mode of passion and ignorance, right? People don't differentiate what kind of a food they are eating, meat, frozen food. So always we want to offer fresh food to Krishna, but sometimes we don't have. Based on the geography or location what we are kind of staying, it may not be possible, but definitely we don't want to offer anything which is meat, eggs, chicken. Clearly in 9.26 Krishna tells, right, and Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, if that was the thing, right, Krishna would have clearly said, right, instead of patram pushpam phalam toyam, right, he would have added few more things what you may want to offer me. So if we have to kind of remember this, how these three modes kind of act in our day-to-day life, right? We can remember through a simple story, the story of a hat seller and monkeys, right? Every would know this story. But I think I would just tell what we can learn from this story. So this hat seller used to stay in a village, and he used to. There were three brothers, and their name were Tamogun, Rajogun, and Satogun. So ignorance, passion, and goodness. So what happens? These three brothers on the first day, right? The one in the mode of goodness from the village went to the city to sell the hats, and since the city was kind of very far, he thought of taking rest, and he sat under a tree. And when he sat under the tree, right, the monkeys from the tree came and they took all the caps. And when they took all the caps, and when he woke up, right, he was kind of devastated. And after seeing that thing, right, he said that the life is kind of finished. There is nothing remained in this life. So he went to a nearby bar. He drank. He kind of lost his senses, and he slept. He said that this is the only thing what would happen, right? So the people in the ignorance, right, anything that would happen, right, they would lose their anything. So there is nothing beyond this. So the only thing what is left in my life is sleeping, sense enjoyment, and sense gratification. That is what they are just going to think. So he just, after that, he went home. The second brother the next day came. He was in Rajogun, passion, and the same thing. He slept, and the monkeys took the cap. Long story short, right? And what he came, when he woke up, right, he started abusing. So he started fighting with the monkeys and cursed them that I am going to curse. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to burn this whole tree, and all the monkeys are going to die. And he just was in kind of a very, very revengeful state. And after that, he also left. So sometimes in the mode of passion, right, anything, when something comes from our boss or within our family, right, we have ability, or sometimes we want to react immediately. So we can figure it out, right? When Lord Krishna tells, right, he just not talking, right, he is talking, and he's telling that you implement those things in your life also, right? Unless until we realize this knowledge in our life, right, and this becomes just a theoretical knowledge. But when we implement, when we bring in our achar, right, then it becomes successfully. That it means that we have really understood Bhagavad Gita in as it is form. Before that, it is kind of a just yes, we know it is kind of a knowledge, but realization is not there. And in the mode of Satogun, right, this person comes, the third brother comes, and again he performs the same activity, and he said, right, what can I do? So he had one cap on his hat, and he puts that hat into the basket, and seeing that, right, all other monkeys, he kind of they also put their cap into that. So see, the mode of goodness, right, the people can think. So it is not that in the mode of passion they cannot think, but the reaction is kind of a more in the mode of passion, right? It's kind of a revengeful attitude. maybe more, but with that, right, it's just kind of a analogy to compare. It may not be just one to one, but with this story, right, we can remember what mode we are sometimes, right, ignorance, passion, or goodness, and this will also help us to remember if we are explaining to someone, right, what is ignorance, passion, and goodness. So in text 21, right, now we have spoken about all these three modes. Arjuna asked a very important question. So what are the symptoms and a behavior of a person who is known to be transcendental to these three modes? He knows that you have said me, these are the three modes. This is what it is done. I am being driven by three modes of material nature. I am not the doer. These three modes are there. So what should I do now? So how should I transcend these three modes of material nature, right? And this is he asked three questions, and he asked three questions in the text 21, which is going to come later. And Lord Krishna, right, he answers. And if you read this shloka again and the translation, so if after reading this, right, it would feels like that's kind of very, very difficult. It's not kind of an easy task to transcend these three modes. Let's see this, what Lord Krishna is talking it about. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present, or long for them when they disappear, who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that these modes alone are active, who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth and stone and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is equal towards desirable and undesirable, who studies situated equally well in praise and blame, honor, dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities. Such a person to said to have transcended modes of nature, right? There's so many important things, right? I think it's very, very difficult. Means if you read the definition, right, if someone just says something, we have a tendency to react. If someone praises us, right, and next time he doesn't praises us, we are kind of unhappy. So can we consider a piece of gold and piece of earth kind of a equal weight? Absolutely not, right? Means some definitely maybe, but the people who can do that, right, they can definitely they have transcended the three modes. I'm talking about myself. Means I'm definitely not in this category, right? If you took this definition, looks kind of so bewildering, so difficult to overcome, right? But in the next shloka, what does he talk about, right? Krishna, this is the 26th shloka of this chapter, right? And he gives kind of a very, very easy thing, right? He first tells these are the behavior, these are the symptom, and how does a person in the mode of transcendent acts, right? How does he act? How does he behave? He has given all the symptoms, but now the next question is, how do you attain that? How do you come to the mode of transcendent, right? We have 7 more minutes. So how do you come to that? So tell us. So you have talked about the problem statement. You have also said at the start of the chapter who goes through this knowledge. The sages have read this knowledge. They have attained the transcendent. And in the next shloka, shloka 14.2, you tell that one who fixes his knowledge in this transcendental knowledge, right? He becomes equal in quality to me. He becomes in nature like me, right? Then how do I come? And as after that, he explains about the problem, what the problems are. And in 26th shloka, right, he tells how do you transcendent, how do you come beyond the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So once you have come in the mode of goodness, one who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the mode of material nature and thus come to the level of Brahman. So one who has transcended the mode of material nature, and how does he do that? Engages in full devotional service. And how do you do the full devotional service? There are 64 limbs for the devotional service. Out of that, devotee, D, D, and D, P. So devotee, Dham, Nam, D, D, and D. What is, somebody remembers? Devotee, Dham, Nam,
DT, devotee, Nam, Dham,
and Bhagwat. Yeah.
Bhagavad.
So yeah, thank you so much, Padmalochini. Yeah. So that are the 5 most, and among them, right, the first most important is the association, right? You need to remain in the association of whom? Association of the deities. So we should try to visit temple, but now the situation is different. But everyone, you are giving it association every day on this Skype call, right? Try to associate with Guru. sannyasis, when they come to a temple with the devotees, have your association, give your association. So the one who are elder to us, who are senior to us, we have to take their association. And when who are junior to us, who are new to us, who are coming to the congregation, we have to give their association. But it happens kind of a different, right? When someone is kind of very senior, we try to give our association to them. We talk a lot and they talk very little. And when someone is kind of a very new, we kind of hear a lot from them, and we are not telling them. So we have to give what is the right association, right? We should try to visit temple, encourage people, right? Sometimes when somebody doesn't come to the temple, right, devotees ask, Prabhuji, Mataji, we haven't seen you, right? Because everyone might have felt when they go to the temple, right, they doesn't want to come back to the home, right? I think everyone might have experienced this, right? They just want to spend their time, right? Because the temple is no different from Vaikunt, because where the Lord says, that place is Vaikunt. So when you come into a temple, right, it is exactly right where the Lord is there. So when the deities are there, he's the manifestation of one who is sitting in Vaikuntha. So we should not treat him differently. So we should be very, very careful when we are in the temple, right? Sometimes we try to fight, or there are issues. We have to very, very diligent when we are in the temple, right? And as soon as we come out of the temple, right, again the three modes of material nature start acting, right? Why does it happen? Because we don't read Srila Prabhupada's book every day. We don't implement in that, right? The second thing, that is what is being spoken about, Srimad Bhagavatam, right? Say from our congregation, very young boy, Chaitanya, right? He's just 11 years old. He made a wonderful kind of a video on Srimad Bhagavatam. So sometimes people, if we talk about, do you have Bhagavad Gita or you have Bhagavatam, right? They will tell, yes, we have Bhagavatam. They will think that the Bhagavad Gita is same as Bhagavatam, right? But Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita are two different things, right? In just 1 minute, I will try to tell. Both are instructions of the Lord. So Bhagavad Gita is the instruction of the Lord spoken by the Lord himself to Arjuna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. It contains 700 shlokas. Srimad Bhagavatam are also the instructions of the Lord, but spoken by Vyasdev. It was written by Vyasdev, but spoken by Sukdev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj on the river Ganges, and it has 18,000 shlokas. So Srimad Bhagavatam is different. Bhagavad Gita is kind of a philosophy. If you talk it about, very, very kind of a crux. It is kind of a taken the nectar, and if you just have to skim through it, right, and someone who has kind of a really, if some people go for exam, right, they have kind of read through the complete literature and they just want to revise the stuff, right, then you just take the Bhagavad Gita and try to read through it. But Srimad Bhagavatam, right, if you want to do a more detailed analysis, right, if you really are interested in three modes of material nature, right, go to the third canto, right, and there Kapila Dev talks to her mother, Devabhuti, and there are 26 chapters. So just we are just talking it about in one chapter, and sometimes people tell, right, it's kind of very, very difficult to understand. So but when you go there and read it, right, you would understand. So it is just not Mahatattva, or it is not only Pradhan. So there within that also there are so many categories. How does it come? So Lord comes one by one, and there each quality manifests within each of those things. So Srimad Bhagavatam, right, what I was talking it about, we got lot of new Srimad Bhagavatams. Some are in Gujarati and others are in English. So if someone doesn't have, right, I would highly encourage, look at that video what Chaitanya has made, and please try to place an order if you don't have it, right. The next thing, right, is the chanting. So sometimes I think let's do a time check. We just have 1 more minute. Chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So this is the Nam Sankirtan, and this is the one which would purify us. So we do not have belief on that, but a person, when he goes to a doctor, right, he doesn't have a belief, he gives a medicine. They don't analyze into the chemical formula, what does this medicine is made up of, how does it made up of, how it's going to act in it, right. So our acharyas have said about this thing, we are ill, we are kind of convinced we are into this prison and we are bounded by three modes. when you are bounded by three modes, right, what our acharyas are telling, what the doctors are telling, right, we have to believe them, right, because we are already kind of not on a right path how when we have come into this material world, right. So let's believe what our acharyas are telling, right, and try to do the chanting. Srila Prabhupada always said, right, at least minimum do 16 rounds. So it is not the maximum, but because of our conditioning, we kind of stop at 16. And then last, right, the diet, the prashadam. So if you see, go back, right, there is a importance. Lord Krishna, why does he talk about, right, what kind of a food you have to eat? Differentiate between the food. Don't try to eat like what animals are doing, right. See, what is the difference between an animal, right? If a dog is also there, right, he's kind of a better than us. So we try to see on some mattress or something, and we will figure it out, and still we cannot sleep after eating. But a dog, right, where does he sleep? In India, if you see, he goes under any car and he would sleep. If somebody has a Mercedes, he will sleep under that very costly car, and if you take the Mercedes out, right, he will go and sleep under an Audi. So he doesn't need, he still has a better sleep. He doesn't have to hunt for food, right? So why the impotence? So prashadam is very, very important. Offer to the Lord, and that is called bhoga, and that bhoga only you have to take. That remnants of the Lord you have to take. And when you take prashadam, right, don't kind of judge, this is right, this is wrong, this is salt is more, because when you are eating, those are remnants. Sometimes we have habit of giving too much of a feedback, right, but it is and sometimes still the deities are kind of a better than the devotees, because the deities, they do not tell, but one who has authority, right, they can give that thing. But when a devotee who is practicing sadhana, right, they should kind of limit themselves from not going into that, but they should just only practice ABCD, right. And if you do that, right, definitely you can transcend these three modes. So I think that's where we would stop here. I think we are definitely above time, but if someone has some questions, we can take those. So one or two questions, but I would just stop it here. Hare Krishna, any comments or thoughts or realization?
Very good class today.
Very nice. I just wanted to make a very quick comment. Coronavirus is not an Adi Bhautik event. It is an Adi Daivik event.
Okay.
People carelessly spreading it is an Adi Bhautik event.
Yes, yeah, that's true. I think many people now, even with so many CDC guidelines, they are not concerned about that, and they just want to do the sense enjoyment.
Yeah, other people spreading it to
Yes.
others carelessly. That is an Adi Bhautik.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. Yeah, anything else, Pyare Prabhu, Jiva Mataji, or any other devotees would like to add anything? I think
We are just talking about the modes all the time, because the whole chapter says all about the modes.
yes, Mataji.
How we can get to Krishna by following the good modes and surrendering to him.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.
Good night.
Bye.
And also that last PPT page that you had, it was a tall order to overcome, even with
Yes,
devotional service and everything.
Yes, Mataji, yeah. I think, but the most important is the association, Mataji. I think if we have the association, yeah.
I
And
know.
I think everyone is just trying to connect with this Zoom. At least they're spending 1 hour of their life every day.
Yeah, I'm so grateful to this Zoom, because otherwise I have absolutely no. And Prabhupada says in so many places that you actually cannot advance in Krishna consciousness without association. He actually says that, So it's very, very hard.
Okay. If we don't have anything else, thank you so much for your time. We'll
Thank
stop.
you.
And
Very nice class. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.
I think it could have an E. A, B, C, D, E. E for ecstasy, if you're doing the A, B, C, D.
Yes, Roji. Thank you, Roji. Yes.
What about the
Yeah.
corona? You said it's.
Oh, the coronavirus, I would say it's not Adi Daivik. It's not coming from Krishna. I mean, you could say everything is coming from Krishna, but it's from other living entities.
No, but the fact that it came out of nowhere, isn't that an event that is
Come out of nowhere.
Nothing comes out of nowhere.
no, but the fact that it became like a pandemic all over the world, that's not something normal, it's isn't that Adi Bhautik? I mean Adi Daivik? Just like an earthquake or a storm or something like that? That it's spreading.
I would think it's not.
The virus is
You
living
can say Adi Daivik
organism.
for anything, everything that happens is caused by Krishna ultimately, but it's a virus. It's not an earthquake.
It's a
not-
living organism.
Oh, so in that sense, it's Adi Bhautik. The organism itself is a Bhuta entity.
Yeah,
Right, yes.
right.
Okay, I stand corrected. You were right, but no, that's true.
No, Mataji. Thank you. Okay,
Hare
so
Krishna, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we have a meeting on Zoom now.
sure, Prabhu. I think we'll do the Vaishnava Pranam and then we'll stop. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Vansha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
I have very nice class, my daddy.